I want to give a special shout out to all my patrons first. Thank you so much to my Bibliospren, Bibliohowlers, and my Bibliomancers. It means a lot to me that you give me your extra support for my passion and hobby. Hi everyone, today we have someone very special here. We have Andrew from Andrew Wizardly Read. If you haven't checked out his booktube channel, I highly recommend you to do it. He's one of the most passionate and one of the kindest people on booktube that I know. And hi Andrew, thank you so much for coming to my channel.
Yes, thank you for having me and thank you for the kind words. I have been looking forward to this chat for forever. I've been badgering you. I think since Reaper came out, that we needed to do a Cradle chat, and it's finally time, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, so yeah, for those of you who are watching this, today we will be talking about Cradle, the entire series. We will be doing a ranking of each book, our personal ranking, and then we will tell all of you why we love that book, why we kind of felt disappointed with that book, and then at the end we will be telling our opinion on why you should or you shouldn't read a Cradle series by Will Wight. And yes, the entire video will be spoiler free. Again, as Andrew said, this has been a long time coming. I really apologize for this.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just happy that we're here and chatting.
Yeah. So I think we will just begin immediately. Of course, we will start because Cradle is a 12-book series. We will start chronologically from the first book. So because Andrew has all the physical books, I will let him showcase the cover art. The first one is, take a look at that.
It's a big stack of paper.
That's 12 books long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is only 11 of them.
Yeah, you're still missing Waybound, right?
Yeah, I just bought Waybound this weekend, and it should be here tomorrow. So timing is everything, right?
Yeah. But both of us yep, that's the first one. We'll be talking about Unsouled first. So let's just begin with you. Go ahead first. Where do you rank this? Out of 12 books in the series, where do you rank Unsouled?
So when I started my ranking, I put it into 3 sections. I put top tier, mid tier, and it was good. So I don't have like a bottom of just like this wasn't worth reading.
Yeah.
But because it's the introduction, we're still very much being introduced to London and the world and everything like that. I put Unsouled incredibly low on this list, which should let you know where the bar is.
Yeah.
But I put it at out of 12 books, I put it at 9th, I believe.
9th? Oh, interesting.
9th, so very near the bottom. It's a good book. You get a lot of Lyndon going gratitude and I'm sorry, Elder. Just because of his circumstances. And so for that, I put it very low and then it ramps up very quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my 9th place.
Oh, this will be interesting because for me, Unsouled is really at the bottom for me.
All the way at the bottom?
Yeah, at the number 12. But that's my opinion. But as you said, it's really because it's an introductory installment, right? We're just getting to know all the characters. We still don't know their personality. And even Lyndon at the beginning of the book is still, well, it's just there's not enough motivation and characterizations yet going on for him. And Unsouled is a really small book.
Yeah, it's very short.
It's the smallest, right? Out of all the books.
Skysworn and Soulsmith are about identical.
Okay.
But I mean, it's sub 300 pages.
Yeah, it is. So for Unsouled, I think my ranking is 12 and Andrew is 9th. So we will just move on immediately to the next one. It is a Soulsmith. Where do you rank Soulsmith?
Okay, so I think I've done this wrong, and Unsouled should have been 10th.
Okay.
Because 11, 10, 12, and I subtracted 3 and got 9, but that should have been 10. Because I have Soulsmith at my 11th spot.
Okay.
And it could have been a little bit higher, but I don't really remember a whole lot about Soulsmith. And really, it's just him kind of discovering the world. And then we do get some great moments where we get introduced to Athen.
Yeah.
We get introduced to Fisher Gesha. And I like those moments. But other than that, it's really just him wanting to be a soulsmith the whole time. And then Athen kind of cracking a couple one-liners towards the end.
Yep, I agree. Soulsmith is also at my number 11 spot. So for this one, we agree with each other. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's great though, because we get to meet Ethan, right? Ethan is my favorite character in the entire
Oh,
series.
he has to be.
Yeah, he has to be, right? He has to be. So as an installment, it's kind of great to be. This is the first time we get to see him. But for the first time reading experience, yeah, there's not much going on in Soulsmith. And if you're reading Cradle for the first time, this might be at the stage where you're thinking, is this book for me or not? And I highly recommend you to still continue after this, because the next one is Blackflame, right? The third
Yes,
book in the
Blackflame.
series. Yeah. So I think I will go first for this one. Blackflame, I will rank this at number 8 spot. But do know that this number 8 spot still means a great deal, because most of the books in Cradle, I gave them like 4 or at least 4 stars rating, 4 or 4.5 stars rating. So even though this is at the number 8 spot, it still received a 4.5 stars from me. But yeah, I think Blackflame was really, really the first time I felt like, okay, I am really enjoying this series. Now, this is the installment. We get to see what's the turtle name? Orthos.
Orthos.
Yeah,
Orthos.
Orthos. We get to meet Orthos here, and we can finally see the power of the Black Flame. And yeah, it is so good in my opinion. What do you think?
I am quite a bit higher on
Oh,
Blackflame than
okay.
you. I have it at my number 4 spot.
Wow,
Because
that's really high.
the reason I have it at number 4 is because it's the first time that the series felt like something truly special. And it's the first time where, again, you get to meet Orthos. You get to start learning more about the Black Flame Empire. And it's got a lot of special moments in there that really ramp up the stakes and the fun for me. And so that's why I have it listed so high. Now, like I said, when we were messaging and setting this whole thing up, I'm not super comfortable in where I've got everything ranked and everything. Like I'm planning on doing a reread in my Discord next year of the entire series, one a
Okay,
month.
okay.
So that next year this could all change.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This is just our opinion at the moment, but ranking might change. I don't know, maybe even tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could turn off this video and immediately, or leave this chat and immediately go, you know what? That one should have been ranked higher or lower.
I am not too settled. I'm not too settled with the ranking. I need to change. But really, Cradle is great. And I think if you're reading this for the first time, this is the stage where I think it will decide for you whether the series might be worth pursuing or not. Yeah, Black Flame is it, in my opinion. And the next one after that, we have Skysworn, the fourth book in the series, right?
Yes. Now I'm curious where you're gonna have this ranked.
This is very, very unpopular opinion for me. I know that I got some flakes for actually ranking this one quite high, because I think this is the sixth best installment in the
Really?
series. Yeah. So here's the thing. This is my opinion. Cradle is a progression fantasy, right? And
Right.
a lot of the books, pretty much every book in the series revolves around Linden progressing toward a higher level. It's
Right.
practicing, training, and all that. Get to learn more stuff about the power and history of the world. But I think Skysworn was the first time we really encountered the biggest stake of this series, right? Because this is where we finally, for the first time, met one of the Dreadgods, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's really ramped up the tension and stakes for me. This was like the first time I felt, oh my God, this is very intense. And how will they ever be able to top this kind of villain, this kind of enemy? And yes, that's
Easily, apparently. Easily. Effortlessly.
Yeah,
Or at least
easily.
Will Wight made it look easy.
Yeah, but that's why I think Skysworn is really high on my list. It's at the number 6 spot for me.
Okay, so for me, I do agree it's got a lot of great moments. It's my number 12.
No!
It is my number 12. Mainly because it's got it. So the Skysworn order as a whole, I found rather just unlikable.
Okay.
It does have one of the greatest Orthos moments in the entire series.
Yeah.
When, well, not spoilers, but it involves a wall.
Okay. Okay. Good one. That is a good one.
Yeah. Fantastic moment. And so I really, really enjoyed that. For me, though, they were just some of the characters, and we finally started like interacting with some underlords and stuff like that. And I didn't really like that interaction. But towards the end, we get some great character moments. We get some great progression moments, especially for Yaren.
Yeah.
And so there was just a lot to love in that section of the book. So even though I have it ranked at number 12, it's still a 4-star read for me.
Yeah. The entire series is really great, as I said. I think we should move on to the next book. And this
Yes.
is the next number 5 is Ghostwater. Ghostwater, right?
Ghostwater.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, number 5 is Ghostwater. I will let you begin with this one for the ranking.
All right, so moving on, if I'm starting first for the next one,
yeah,
it is Ghostwater for book number 5, and I have that at my number 3 spot. And the reason I have it there is because this is where we really get to see Lyndon shine and come into his own. We kind of get him separated from the group, which he's kind of been relying on because up until this point, almost everybody is more powerful than Lyndon.
Yeah.
Lyndon's been playing catch up the entire series. And now we really kind of get to see him go off on his own. We get to introduce to a new favorite character of mine, who is just very, very just morose and apathetic. But I mean, we get some great character growth and moments and one-liners out of him. And we also get to introduce to another new favorite character who becomes instrumental throughout the entire series. And he's very funny. He's hilarious, and I love him. And so that's why it is in my number 3 spot.
Yeah, I totally understand. For me, I rank this just slightly below Skysworn. I probably put them at the same ranking here. So I'm going to put this at the number 7 for now. For now. Okay. Yeah. But as you said, I think this is where we've first met this one character that is so instrumental to the entire series. Like insane. It is a game changer. And as you said, it is the first time we get to see Lyndon rise up on his own. It is incredible. It is an incredible book, even though it's kind of shaped like a dungeon crawler in the storyline. But it works. It really works, in my opinion. So yeah, I think Ghostwater is a great one. I gave this one, I think, as far as rating goes, 4.5 stars as well. Yes. So as I said, even though this is like ranking number 7 or something, but the rating is still pretty high. Cradle is such a great series. Yeah.
I love Ghostwater so much. Whenever I truly think of like, when did progression really let me know that like I was in for something absolutely insane, I always think of Ghostwater. Just because, I mean, Lyndon goes leaps and jumps higher within Ghostwater. Because usually we get kind of one level up per book. And I think we get like 1.5 in Ghostwater. And it's so good. And I kind of like dungeon crawlers. For me, like one of my favorite other series is Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Oh, I haven't read that one. It has been gaining so much recognition lately.
It's so good. I think you would love it.
Okay.
But we're not here to talk Dungeon Crawler Carl.
So speaking of progression, now let's progress to the next one. This is a big one. We have Underlord. This is the halfway point of the series, the 6th book of the series. And as far as ranking goes, for me, this is very high, very, very high. It's my 4th favorite of the entire series. I think Underlord is really where I finally grew to really care about all the characters, because up to this day, it's still up to this book, it's felt like the entire characterizations of Lyndon is just, I want to get stronger, but it's never emphasized why he really, really want to be stronger. And this applied to all the other characters as well. And I think that's why Underlord is just incredible for me.
Now, the reason I have the one ranked where I have it is because it's smack dab in the middle of the series, and a lot of stuff happens in the middle of the series that it kind of all jumbles together for me.
Okay.
But I still have it ranked within my top half. And I believe I have it at, let's see, if Blackflame was number 4, and that's number 4, I think I have Underlord at number 6.
Okay.
So it's still in the top half.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's where Lyndon really starts, like, some of the like most heartbreaking ending, I think, in the entire series. There's maybe one that beats it out.
Yeah.
But the ending of Underlord, like it happens, and like, you know, Lyndon just has to deal with it. But I still loved kind of meeting some new characters. Like we meet Mercy in Skysworn.
Skysworn? I think Skysworn.
Yeah, we meet her all the way back in Skysworn. But this is where we really get to learn a lot of history. we start exploring the monarchs and what all that really means.
Yeah.
So yes, it is a really, really good book.
Yeah, and I think that just goes to show if you're reading Cradle for the first time and you're thinking of tackling progression of fantasy, you have to remember like the first book, the first few books probably will just feel really tame compared to your epic fantasy standard. Yeah,
Yeah.
it will happen. It will happen. Not all progression fantasy, but some, I think it will be that way.
And I think, like, Mother of Learning, you've read the first Mother of
Yeah,
Learning. That one starts out very tame
yeah,
and then it just ramps up. So almost all progression fantasy is going to start on the tame level because you got to have a baseline to start from.
yeah,
And usually you're starting very weak
yeah.
because you've got something to aspire to and to surpass.
Exactly, exactly. I think that's a great assessment. Yeah. And the next after Underlord, we have the seventh book of the series. This is Uncrowned. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Uncrowned was when it first came out, it quite a lot of people felt disappointed with Uncrowned.
Right.
Yeah. But for me, I really loved it. I actually ranked this at number 5. Yeah.
We have it at the exact same spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have it at the exact same spot, mainly because I was able to read it and the next book back to back.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't have to wait really long
Right.
for the eighth book. Yeah. I
And
think.
I think the reason a lot of people were unhappy with it is it does end on kind of a cliffhanger, and it's one of the only cliffhangers in the entire series.
Yeah, it is a big one. It's a big cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I could see people being mad about it, but I mean, if you like a tournament and you like martial arts tournament, like if you think back to like Dragon Ball Z
Yeah, yeah.
and all those tournaments and stuff like that, like think that. And that's kind of where we're entering into. But also there's just a lot of humor in the next two books, especially with Athen and
Mm,
just it's so good. And now like we see Lyndon punching at the same weight class as everybody else. And so there's a lot more of character competition
yeah.
that I really appreciated because before it was just him trying to catch up. Just
Yeah.
and now he can finally take a little bit of a breather. He's on level with everybody. We've made it. And yeah, it's very good.
Yep, I agree. And this one, I think it has one of the best duels in the entire series. Yeah.
Yes, I can agree with that.
Yep. Okay. I will not mention the name just in case people haven't read it. But yeah, I think it has one of the best duels in the entire series. Love this one so much. So I think the heat is kind of undeserved, but also understandable because I think one of the main reasons why this one was so enjoyable to me because I knew there would be a cliffhanger. So I just kind of expected that. So I
Right.
wasn't disappointed with the ending. And as you said, I love tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always fun to read. So after that,
Um,
sorry, what?
I was just going to ask you where you have the next one ranked.
Yeah, the next one is Wintersteel. This is one of many people's favorites, and this is very unpopular opinion for me. This one,
Really?
yeah, this one is for me is at the number 9 spot. I was,
Wow.
yeah, I was disappointed with this one. I don't know, maybe I had too much of a high expectation for this because there were some very cool moments in this one, but the progression stuff that is happening, like the training and the competition stuff here, to be vague, yeah, but it did not click with me. I felt bored with it, but I love the duel that is happening. But yeah, I think I was disappointed. I have to say though, I've had very high expectations for this one because I was a bit late in jumping into this, and many people were
Mhm.
just talking about it nonstop when it came out,
Okay.
praising it very high. So that's why I have to rank Wintersteel number 9.
You see, I didn't jump into the series until I believe Bloodline dropped. So I
Oh,
kind of
okay.
missed most of that hype and
Mm,
expectation. Because I should preface this when I DNF'd Unsouled probably 3 years ago, just because it didn't grab me immediately.
oh,
And then I
okay.
came back once I joined BookTube and it it just ran away with my heart. But I have Wintersteel because I think Wintersteel is the one where it's all about points.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the thing that, yeah, it did not
it's
click with
all
me.
about points. And so I
Yeah.
have it at my number 2 spot.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all the way up there. I loved Wintersteel mainly because we just get this crazy side to Lyndon where like you're like this man's insane. And
Okay, good one, good one.
And I'm just like, okay, fair enough. I really enjoyed it. I can understand though ranking it lower just because like there's two different, like we've finally fully split the party again.
Yeah.
Like because in Ghostwater we split the party for the first time and it's novel and stuff like that. This time we do it again, but because something has happened, like it's a little unsatisfying.
Mm,
And so, you always want to see the protagonist come out on top.
yeah,
And he does in a way, but maybe not in the way you wanted.
yeah, yeah. Very true, very true. But I have to admit though, the ending of this one felt very satisfying. The
Yes.
ending of Wintersteel, it really feels like I don't know, like kind of ending to the second part of Cradle or
Yes.
something. Yeah, and then of course, the remaining is the conclusion, the concluding arc of Cradle. So book 9, Bloodline. Where do you rank this one?
This one is going to be my number 7 spot.
Ooh, okay, bottom half.
Yeah, so the most of the conclusion is going to be in my mid to bottom half.
Mm,
Um, well, we'll get to it.
yeah.
But I don't really remember a whole lot about Bloodline except for I think Lyndon goes home.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that was very satisfying and cathartic, and some of it was incredibly infuriating.
Yep. Yeah.
To watch Lyndon fight for all this stuff and then to just get home and have what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. Totally.
So that one I've got ranked. I've got that one ranked much lower.
Yeah. For me, I'm ranking this very high.
Okay.
Yeah, it is my third favorite. My third
Oh
favorite.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, it is my third favorite in
Okay.
Cradle. I totally understand, what you said. It is true. It is infuriating, very infuriating. But I think that's also the part that actually clicked with me. I think it felt human because I know
Mhm.
a lot of humans behave like how they treated Lyndon in this one. Yeah. Ugh, so awful
Oh,
thinking about it again.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, it is so awful, but I think it is again, just like in Skysworn, we get to see one of the Dreadgods here, and it is so awesome in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And yeah,
back half of the series is very Dreadgod heavy.
yep, yeah, that's
Um,
really where I think if you have read Unsouled, you will know this is always the direction where the series is heading. Yeah. The battle
well,
again.
the series gives some great foreshadowing on where the series is going to go because he's
Yep.
given a mission statement at the beginning of the series, and so he's kind of got a timeline, and then he exceeds the timeline, and so now he's trying to do things.
Yeah.
But yeah, Reaper
Yeah.
is number next,
Reaper, number
correct? Oh
10.
no, is it Dreadgod or Reaper?
Reaper.
Reaper. There we go. And I like this one because it's purple.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, number 10 is Reaper, and that is at my number 8 spot.
Oh, what? Why?
Just because so towards the end of the book, I felt like the foreshadowing was so strong
Mm,
that like the big reveal, I was
yeah,
just like, yeah, okay, I guessed that about 400 pages ago. And so that's the only reason it's down there. Now I still gave it 4 stars,
yeah, okay.
but yeah, and then it's just I don't know, it's very interesting because we're still exploring and dealing with something happens to one of the characters in Bloodline at the very end. At the
Mm,
very end of Bloodline. It's either at the end of Bloodline or at the end of Reaper. And it changes their entire personality. And I didn't like that personality.
oh,
It was humorous, but it was creepy at the same time.
yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of why I have that one also ranked a little lower.
I understand. Yeah, I know which character you're talking about, and yeah, I think having that moment happen, it kind of like kills one of the major humor part of the entire series. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But for me, this will have to be at the number one spot for me.
Number 1 spot.
Yeah, Reaper is my favorite. The labyrinth part, it's also good. And you were right. The reveal was predictable, but to me, it's just so satisfying to see the reveal at the end of the book. So satisfying for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Number
yeah.
1. I did not see that coming.
Yeah. I love Reaper so much. I think that one really blew me away. So yeah. If some of you are watching this, this is my number one. Reaper is my favorite.
Wow.
And then we move on to the 11th book. This is the penultimate installment of the series, Dreadgod. Dreadgod, right? Yeah, Dreadgod. Yeah, Dreadgod is
Yep.
the title. So which one? What ranking? This one, I think, for me, will be, again, another unpopular opinion, but you know what?
I have it at number 9.
Okay, not too far from me.
Yeah, I have it. I have it at number 9, just because. So when I started Waybound, I didn't fully remember Dreadgod. I had to
Yeah.
go and do. I had to go and do a refresh, which lets me know that some of it was kind of forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's something that happens at the end of Reaper, and a character is missing, and it's an integral character. And I feel like what Will Wight achieved in Cradle is he created a cast of characters that work in harmony.
Mm.
And so whenever you break the formula and you remove somebody and shove them out, and they get little to no page time,
Yeah.
it changes the feel of the series. And so Dreadgod was a much more serious novel. Um, and so I felt like that character was missing. And then we're still kind of dealing with another character who still has an altered personality.
Yeah.
And so overall, it wasn't as enjoyable. A lot of the humor was missing, I should say. A lot of epic battles, but a lot of
Mm.
the humor was missing.
Yep, totally agree. For me, my ranking for this one is number 10. It is a huge drop in my opinion, especially because I consider Reaper as my favorite. And then we get to this one. It started out really good. It started with some very, very epic battles, like some of the most epic battles we have seen in the series so far. But then after that, in the middle, everything just kind of dropped for me, especially when they started training again. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
at this rate, at this stage of the series, training should be like less mandatory now because we're so close to the end and there's still so much to resolve. And then I agree with everything you said. Yeah. And
Right.
when I started Waybound, which is the final book, we will be talking about that soon. When I started Waybound, I also remember so little about Dreadgod. I think,
Right.
as you said, it just goes to show that so many parts of this were kind of like fillers or
Yeah.
not too necessary, at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Oh,
we
we
arrived at
have
the
one
end.
book left.
One book left. This is it. This is the final book, and I just finished that a few days ago. So, Waybound. This is the final book of Cradle. This is the conclusion of the series. And where would you rank this, Andrew?
Waybound right now is my number 1.
Wow! Amazing, amazing.
I was happy crying at the end of Cradle, because it's very hard for it felt like, I don't know if you understand the baseball reference, but like Babe Ruth like is a historical baseball figure, and he
Okay.
would like point out into the stands, and then like he'd get a home run right to
Okay.
where he pointed. It's a very, very famous meme and stuff like that, or before memes. But and I just felt like Will, he called it. He was like, "This is where I'm going to end up. This is how it's going to go down," and it felt like we got the ending that we were promised. Like if you wanted the series to end somewhere, it ended right where it needed to be,
Makes
and
sense.
we
Makes sense.
got my only complaint was the whole Celestial storyline felt a tad rushed and a
Mm,
hair bit forced. But other than that, like I really enjoyed the stakes, the tension, the near misses, like within seconds.
yeah.
Uh, and I just it was amazing. And then the bloopers at the end. I don't know if you did the audios, but
I did not do the audio, but I read them. It's
oh,
hilarious.
okay. Yeah. No, if you ever want to do the audios, Travis killed everything about it. Like it was fantastic.
Yeah, Travis
Um,
Badri is so highly praised as one of the best audiobook narrator, and I think I understand
he's my
why.
favorite.
Yeah,
He's my
as
absolute favorite.
for me, Waybound is my number two. It is amazing. It is amazing. I don't know. I don't know how this is received among other readers, but for me, I think what Will Wight set out to do, I think he achieved it. All, of course, it's
Exactly.
not a perfect conclusion. There are still so many things to resolve, especially the celestial stuff. I think
Right.
Will Wight is kind of reserving that for a sequel series someday if he decides to write that, maybe.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the main mission of Cradle that has been set out since the first book, everything, the mission, the battles, everything has been achieved here, and the battles were insanely epic.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it is so good. We're talking about like massive, massive destruction stuff. So if you love that kind of stuff, like anime and manga stuff, this is for you. It is incredible. Love Cradle. And I think, yeah, Waybound is the runner-up champion. That's my thought anyway for now, but probably at the a few days, I might even think this is my number one. Who knows?
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Fingers
But
crossed.
I mean, we met on a lot of places, and we diverged in certain others. But I think we mostly agree that the series is just amazing.
Yep. Yeah. Totally agree. And so to wrap this up, I would just ask you, why do you think people should read Cradle, and what reason what they might not like Cradle?
All right. So the reason that I think you should read Cradle is that it's incredibly accessible, and there is a great, well, just through line, or I guess you could say progression of story, of characterization, of magical power and ability, higher stakes. It's all just, if you're looking for a thrill, if you're looking for a laugh, if you're looking for some heartfelt moments, and it may not be the deepest of characterization,
Yeah.
but you do get to bond with the characters just through their trials and tribulations and through this combat and this need to grow. It is something that is truly like, if you're always wanting to read somebody who's reaching for more and who doesn't want to stagnate, then
Yeah.
progression fantasy, and specifically Cradle, is something that I think a lot of readers will enjoy.
Yeah, agree. And of course, if you love underdog story, this is pretty much
Yes.
an underdog story. It started off really at the bottom, and it keeps on progressing step by step. So that's, I think, something that you should definitely consider if you're going to tackle Cradle for the first time. And also, you will probably, if you love like the first three books, you will be addicted to read the rest of the series. Yeah. I mean, Andrew finished it like really quickly.
Yeah, no, I did the first 7. No, I did the first 9 books back to back to back to back to back. In fact, like I think I did the first 9 books in 4 months, 4 or 5 months,
Okay.
something like that. There were a couple months where I was just like, okay, I'm gonna read this one next month, and then I'd just be side-eyeing the book and be like, you know what? I think I want to read you right now instead. And so, I mean, I 1 month I read 3 in a single month, and then I hit the wall where all of a sudden I was with everybody else and I had to wait.
Yeah.
It's just it was like candy and popcorn, and just it was fun and adventurous, and I liked the family aspect,
Yeah.
because there is a found family, a strong found
Oh,
family through
for
line. If
sure,
you
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, if you love found family, like Cradle has it in spades. And there's a deep affection without, and like if you don't like, like, oh, we're found family and I'm gonna slowly fall in love with one of you, like it's there is some romance in it, but it's not romance as you would think. It's a mutual respect that blossoms into a love.
Yep. Yeah. It's definitely
And so,
not a romance heavy story.
no,
Not at all.
not at all.
Yeah.
In fact, like, it takes like 8 books for anybody to be like,
Yeah.
hey,
Eight.
maybe I have some feelings for somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
8 books. Yeah.
yeah. So like
Wow.
there's no jumping of the shark, or it's just like book 2, we're in love. It's
Yeah.
just like, hey, we've built this, respect and this friendship, and we've developed this family. And I love everything about Cradle. Well, not everything about Cradle, but I mean, every series has its flaws.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for me, it was an absolutely enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said here. And also, if you're someone who loves, probably want to try reading manga or watching anime, but you don't like the format, let's say you don't like the manga format and you want to try just to devour the content, this is where you will get it. This is
Yeah.
pretty much manga or anime in novel, yeah, in prose
Yes.
format. This is it. And I'm quite surprised to see. I mean, I love manga, right? I'm really happy to see how many people love this kind of content. So maybe sometimes it's just a matter of preference that manga is just not the storytelling medium they like, but they still would love the content. And I think that's where Cradle really shine. It's really fitting.
Yeah. I even mentioned that it is very manga anime like in my
Mm,
reviews that I did, I believe last year on the channel, on my
yeah,
channel. It's a very interesting kind of adaptation of the medium, because it takes all the themes, all of the story elements, and it just puts it in the written word instead of, art panels or animation.
yeah,
And I loved everything. Now, granted, I love manga and anime as well. I'm currently working my way through Berserk.
Nice.
I've actually got my first video coming up here soon. But yeah, it's you're the one who got me into Berserk, so I'll blame you for that one. But it's a genre bending kind of thing where, like, I don't know, I could see it happening in my head just because they're explosive battles,
Yeah.
insane powers, quirky characters. And it's funny because a lot of people who read it physically who don't end up liking it, saying that all the characters are flat. I never had that problem because I would either immersion read with the audiobook, and this is where I'm going to try and sell you on the audiobook, because Travis Baldree is a god among narrators. He adds a lot of personality, a lot of depth, a lot of sarcasm and sass and quirkiness into these already funny characters. And so if you're struggling with Cradle and it might not be clicking for you, and you're like, oh, these characters are just so boring. Well, maybe try the audio, because the narrator, literally, I think he added a half star to a full star on each book for me.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, but like, he just improved that experience for me so much that, like, I'm still raving about it.
Yeah, I didn't do the audiobook because I still find it difficult for me to concentrate using audiobook, but I heard nothing but great things about the audiobook. Literally no bad things about the audiobook from people who use it to consume Cradle. And yeah, so if you're someone by the way, immersion read is you using audiobook and then you read it too, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've never tried that. Maybe I should try that.
Yeah, give it a whirl. One of the things that I have to do is, because I read faster than the audiobook listens or narrates to you, I should say, I have to speed it up to about a 1.5, 1.6 speed.
Yeah,
and then basically I can then follow along fairly comfortably with what I'm reading. It adds a nice little dimension, a nice little layer to what you're doing. So if you ever find a book that you want to try that with, and I highly recommend trying it with Cradle, because you can just sit there and you already know the story.
Yeah.
So you can just sit there and enjoy Travis's narration and possibly re-experience the story.
Yeah, it will be a new experience for sure.
Yeah. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's pretty much really why we think that you should read Cradle. It's a great progression of fantasy. I mean, it is for many good reasons why it is the most popular, probably the most popular and successful progression fantasy series of novels right now. So why do you think, let's say this is the last one, why do you think people might not like Cradle?
Well, if progression and power up fantasy is something that does not appeal to you, then you're going to find this tedious, boring, repetitive. The argument could easily be said that all they're ever doing is searching for more power. Well, in a fundamental sense, yes, that is what is happening, but it is seeking power for a heartfelt reason, not for power's sake. It's always wanting to seek power to protect something or someone or somewhere. But at the same time, if that's something that doesn't appeal to you, I can 100% understand. Also, Lyndon is very polite. So
very polite.
He is very polite. Like, he could be leagues above you in power and he will still be incredibly polite to you while you're being rude to him. That happens in Waybound.
It's even feels condescending.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're looking for something a little darker, grimmer, this is not super dark and grim. Like, there are a couple dark moments and there are some emotional moments, but this is not a dark story per se.
Yeah, agree.
So people looking for grim dark reads and who may not like progression fantasy, I would not recommend Cradle to.
Yeah, totally agree. I think I would just add, if you're someone who feels like you want to start something and then immediately love all the characters from the first book, this might not be for you. You might need to be a bit patient, but to be fair, Cradle, the books are relatively small. All of them like 300 pages, most of them, except Waybound. Waybound is big.
Waybound is big, so is Dreadgod
and Reaper
and Wintersteel.
Yeah, those are the biggest one. I think for the rest, they are relatively small. You can, if you usually read epic fantasy books, you can get through them pretty quickly. Yeah. So for this one, I think for one more, I will just add, if you don't like massive like anime style battle, like insane destructions, yeah, this might not be for you because this is where the series will reach. It is insane. Yeah, where it ends up, it's absolutely insane. I think other than that, I really highly recommend Cradle. It is a great progression fantasy series, and it might even open you up to even trying more progression fantasy. I'm sure it will happen.
And if you need recommendations, you can always ping me. I've got tons.
Yeah, I think you have
I'm falling down the hole. Progression fantasy.
Yeah, I think
Is
you
insane.
consume more progression fantasy than me. Yeah.
Cradle started it all. So
Yeah.
it's really wild and really enjoyable. Since Cradle, I've done Reincarnation by Michael Head. I've done Mother of Learning by Dumagoy Kermayage. I've done Mark of the Fool by
Yeah.
CM or CJ Clark. I'm loving progression fantasy. I find it so rewarding, and it's just kind of goal based, and I like that.
Yeah, I definitely need to read more progression. I mean, I've read plenty, but not enough in my opinion. There are still so many popular and highly praised one. So yeah, I think that's about cover it. So we will just wrap today's video. And I just want to say, if you haven't read Cradle, at the end of the day, this is your experience. I think you just have to try it for yourself. These are all just our opinions and our recommendations, our thoughts. But hopefully, if you do end up reading Cradle because of this video, our conversation, hopefully you will love it as much as we did. So I think that's about cover it. I just want to say thank you so much to Andrew for coming to my YouTube channel to talk about Cradle. Thank you so much, Andrew. This really means a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited that we got to do this.
Yeah, I should have you back again someday, okay, to talk about other
Okay.
series.
Yeah, sure. I am 100% open to that.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty much it. So that's all from the both of us today, and see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.